Have you ever wondered what occurred on your birthday? What event happened that you weren't a part of and you really wanted to be? Well, you're not alone. My name is Shelby Diap, and I really want to know what happened on my birthday. So, being very selfish, I thought there would be a plethora of events to choose from. There would be multiple events that I could just look up, and there'd be even more events on that. But there wasn't. There was maybe 10, 12 if I really committed to research. So, being resilient, I decided to pick 4 that I thought were interesting and I thought that you, as my audience, would like to see as well. So, let's begin this adventure and start in 1896. On June 1896, a man by the name of Guglielmo Marconi patented the radio, and later on through the years eventually got it mass produced. Now, you at home may not think this is very important, but it was very important back then. People needed the radio, especially for information. They didn't have to wait 2 weeks to get a letter or wait for a month for somebody to come and tell them information that happened. They could just flip a switch and in their homes they would get immediate information, such as addresses from the president, war updates, and eventually entertainment purposes. It was really the cell phone at the time if you think about it. Now, fast forward a little bit and we end up in 1935. When something monumental happened in the world of baseball. Yep. Babe Ruth, on June 2nd of 1935, retired at the age of 40. Now, this meant that he left his legacy of many home runs and many games won to players both now and then to try and beat. He left a legacy and a goal for them in a way, so that way they would keep playing the sport. Keep going a little bit across the way, and across an ocean, and you find yourselves on June 2nd, 1953, in England, when Queen Elizabeth II was coronated in Westminster Abbey, crowned the Queen of a nation, at the age of 21, might I add. Very historic, and in many textbooks in England, not to mention broadcasted all over the world through the form of radio. Now, we're at our last event, being 1989, a little closer to our time, when something really big happened in China. And when I say really big, I mean really big. On June 2nd of 1989, 100,000 protesters sat in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, China. They protested their belief in democracy. And back then, China really didn't like democracy. It doesn't really like changing at all. So when 100,000 people said they don't like the way their government was running, you could admit that there would be some hostility. But I didn't expect the hostility that they had launched. They launched 10,000 Chinese soldiers to go and disperse the mob, that way they could not be seen in the public eye. But something really great happened. The protesters were able to fight them off, joining their forces, and instead of running, deciding to fight, they were able to continue their protest throughout the day. China and their government wasn't able to stop them. And later, their work was put into magazines, newspaper articles, and even radio stations all over the world, showing that China could possibly have a new form of government, or at least people that believed in a new form. Now, through the end of my research, I really wanted to discover something cool like a rocket being launched or something being discovered. But what I actually found was myself discovering history. I found that we as people make history. We don't rely on someone else or a planet or an extraterrestrial species. We rely on ourselves to remember it, to create it. We ourselves are history. We make it happen every day, and we make it happen even every minute. It just depends on whether we want it to happen or not. We kind of take that leap of faith and hope that people remember it. Because if one remembers a whole nation gathering together to form a new form of government, or even a queen being crowned, then history is made and never forgotten.